So the second thing that I tried with ChatGPT and more so with Claude was creating a macro in Excel to create a scenario analysis. I'll explain what this is. So what you see in Excel is a in the screen or is an Excel which I've made. This is not any real scenario, but this is a made up scenario. So what is this Excel trying to convey? So let's say this is a company which has two founders and it has raised money from eight investors. Now six of those investors have invested money in the form of equity shares and two investors invested in the form of CCPS. Now, the CCPS have a conversion formula which is that up if the valuation of company on conversion and the conversion period is 5 years. So from the date of investment, they will be converted after 5 years. And if at the time of conversion, the valuation of a company is 150 million USD or less, then they should get equivalent to 30% of the stake in the company. So if and that is for both of them combined. So as they've invested equal amount, they will get 15% each. So if the value of the company at conversion date is 130 million, then they should get 130 into 30%, which is 39 million, and that will be divided into half. So each investor will get 98.5 million each. That is the should be the value of the CCPS. If the valuation is above 150 million, then this CCPS will convert as per this formula. 150 million into 30% plus value of the company in USD million minus 150 into 10%. So anything above 150 million, they should only get 10% of it. So if the valuation of the company is say 180 million, so they will get 150 into 30% plus 180 minus 150 into 10%, which is 48. So 30% of 150 is 45 and 10% of the remaining 30, that is 10. And again, each of those two will get 24 each. So this is one of the things. So the conversion of CCPS will again determine. So if the valuation is 150, they will get 30%. The equity shares will adjust accordingly. If the valuation is higher, they'll get less than 30%. So the equity shareholders will get more value in the company. Now, apart from the CCPS, the founders have also agreed with investors to get MSOPs, and they are based on two targets. One is revenue, and the other one is valuation. And the revenue target is for 5 years. And if each of the 5 years they are still employed in the company as CEO and CEO of the company, and the target is met, they will get these statistics. So in year one, if the revenue is 7 million, then they get 0.2% stake each. If it's 10 million in year two, then they again get 0.2% each. Then if it's 14 in year three, then they get 0.25. And again, if it's 18 in year four, it's 0.25 again at 25 in year five. So if they meet all the five targets, they will be maximum be able to get 1.15% each. And then the last part is if the company gets the valuation of 180 million or higher, then they both get 1% additional stake. A condition that they are in employment of the company as CEO and COO of the company. And another important thing is that MSOP and CCPs should be not be dilutive to each other. So that means that the CCPS formula should work independently and this should work independently. So now this is where computed the stakes, and this is the input sheet. So this says what happened in the 5 years. So at valuation on year 5 was 200 as opposed to target of 180. So they were able to meet the target. Again, in year 1 revenue was 8, target was 7, so they met the target. In year 2 it was 11 as compared to year 10, again they met the target. In year 3 the revenue was only 13 is against the target of 14, so they failed to meet the target. In year 4 it was 18 as equal to the target of 18, and in year 5 the target was 25 but they get 30, and in this one they were all employed with the company. So they achieved 4 of the 5 revenue targets and the valuation target. So now if you see computation of MSOP, we've seen that they were able to get 0.7% from the uh, 0.7% of the yes, yeah, they were able to get 0.65% each in the company due to the revenue targets, and they were able to get the 1% valuation target as well. So they both made 1.65% additional stake apart from their equity stake in the company. So now this is the capital structure of company on year 5. The total equity stakeholders is 71%. CCPS converted to 25%, which is 30% of 150 plus 10% of 50. That is 200 minus 150. And the EMSA, as we saw, was 1.65 each, that's 3.3%. And the total stake of each of the shareholders is coming in this sheet. Now, as you know, we are currently at year 0, and this is all a scenario for year 5. Now, let's say one of the investors calls and says, I want to see the stakes at if the target valuation is 200, and if the target valuation, let's say at year 5 is 250, and target valuation is at, let's say, 170. I want to see my stake in all three of these scenarios. So for that, you can of course change, and then you can do one thing is you copy at 200 valuation, you can just copy this in a table and then change it again to 250, and then copy again the new stakes that are computed, and then change again to 170 and copy paste this table. But that will take time, and that if they ask for more than one valuation, then it will take a lot of time. So what I did, and this is something similar to what I have to do in my job, and we have to do multiple scenarios where they ask for multiple stake or valuation. So what I did was created a macro which does that automatically. So I'll show you the code for them. So here you can see the whole code of the macro. It is built so that it is customizable for multiple sheets. Although I have not yet tried it on other sheets so far, but it should be workable on other sheets as well. And so let's see how does it do for our main sheet. So I'll just run this macro, and now it will ask for first the name of the scenario. So let's call it scenario 1, valuation 200. Then it will ask for the input range. I'm not able to see the, okay. Will ask for input, so I'll select this one as input, and now it will ask for the input value, and then it asks for the output values. So we'll go with here and select all of it. And do I want another output? I'll say no. And this created scenario 1 at valuation of 200. So you can see it got the input y, valuation 200. It is the source of the input and valuation, and it got the stakes. Now we can obviously format this stakes as percentages, 2 digits, and can format it in share. Now let's change the input sheet and make it 250. And again, we will run the macro, and this time name it scenario 2, valuation 250. Again, it will ask for the inputs. So we'll go there and select this in the input value, and then we can select the output, and no, and we created the scenario 2, valuation 250 billion. And again, we can now see that, compare this. Again, we can change the format of this to percentage, 2 digits, and compare the. So if you can see from 200, the first stake of foundation was 23.3% for each both of the founders. It went to 24.21%. And let's say investor 8, 7 and 8, those with Western CCPs, their stake at U50 is 11%, while at 200 it was 12.5. So it came down because the value of the company was higher, and they had agreed in that way the terms of their CCPs. You can also see the equity stakeholders. Investor 1 got 5.41% of 200, he gets 5.64. And that's because the way as the value rises, the CCPs holders get lower of the value. So this is the step. We can then run it at multiple valuations and then share this